Hello, I'm Peter Vaughan and today I'm at the Caravan and Motorhome Club at Burford in the Cotswolds with the very latest addition to Marquis Majestic range. Now, built by Elddis and based on the Elddis AutoQuest, the Majestic is a dealer special edition that's exclusive to Marquis. And this is the new layout for 2021, the Majestic 150. It's the first island bed model in the range. 7.34 metres long on a 3.5 tonne chassis, so anybody can drive it, and it comes very, very well equipped at the standard price of $55,995. So everything you see on this vehicle today is standard. That includes the silver cab, the alloy wheels, and lots of stuff that we'll come on to in a minute. There's no packs, no options, not even an automatic gearbox option, because this is a Peugeot Boxer, and the Peugeot Boxer isn't offered in automatic form. But as I say, a very, very highly spec motorhome for $55,995. Although there is indeed a very high standard spec on this vehicle, there are still some areas that give away the fact that basically it's an entry-level motorhome before Marquis adds all the extra spec. Extra spec like that awning that comes as standard. So, things that give it away as an entry-level product, things like these caravan-style windows that sit proud of the bodywork, and the fact that when you unlock the cab on the remote control, it doesn't unlock the habitation door. That needs a key. And there are 4 keys with this vehicle, although you do soon get used to which key does what. On the plus side, of course, the habitation door is nice and low. You don't need an external step, and there is a fly screen on it as well. There's not as much external storage as you might expect on a vehicle with an island bed, but there is a hatch to get into the underbed locker around the back. I should have mentioned the external barbecue point by the door too. But back to external storage. This hatch goes right the way through under the bed, so it's a good size locker in there, and of course you can get to it from inside the vehicle as well. Height, maximum height in there is about 350 millimetres, less where the structural beams support the bed. But decent size for outdoor chairs, levelling wedges, mains lead, all that sort of thing, but obviously not a garage. If you want to carry bikes, well, just get your dealer to fit a bike rack. The mounting points are already there. TV aerial is standard as well, as is the reversing camera, which we'll show you in more detail when we go on to driving the vehicle. Now this looks like another bit of external storage, but in actual fact, in usual Elddis style, it's access to your leisure battery. When you're hooked up on the mains, your lead comes through that little gap there, and you lock the door again. Don't leave it left open, because this is your exhaust from your heating system. And as you can see, somebody's already left it open and distorted this door, and actually it's even starting to damage the skirt as well, because when that's open, it hangs down over the exhaust. Presumably, that will get moved. Further along the vehicle, you've got your wastewater drain, and this is one thing I really wish they'd update. It's a fiddly little tap that's going to get covered in road dirt, and because it's such a small outlet, it's going to take a long time to drain all your wastewater. While we're talking about water, both the fresh and the wastewater tanks are slung underneath the vehicle. They are, however, both insulated and heated, because the Majestic gets Elldis's winter pack as standard. Capacities are 100 litres for the fresh water and 70 litres for waste. Now let's have a look inside this motorhome. The 2 front seats spin round easily, no worries there. And then you've got a nice lounge area for 4 or 5 people. There's a slight step down from the lounge into the kitchen and washroom area, or step up if you're coming in through the habitation door in that way. But it is a nice spacious area with lots and lots of light. You've got this overcab sunroof, that's on a winding handle to open it, and a big push-up roof light over the lounge settees. The settees themselves I found comfortable for sprawling on, particularly the longer one on the off side, but I'd prefer to leave these at home, these armrest cushions. They just, to my mind, they just take up space, especially when you've got scatter cushions as well. But that's your choice, you can take them or leave them, as it were. The blinds are the simple pull down type, which do leave a bit of daylight coming in the morning, so if you're a light sleeper like me, that's something to consider. Artificial lighting is good, with ambient lighting above the top lockers and plenty of these swivel reading lights, 4 of those in the lounge, although there's none actually specifically over the cab seats. They've got these shelves over the cab as well, and for once they've got a decent lip on them, so if you do want to keep a few maps and leaflets of places you're going to go, that sort of thing, up there, then they're not going to crash on your head the very first time you go round a roundabout. Privacy at night, you've got both cab blinds and these curtains to make it feel a bit more homely. And then when it's meal times, the table has its own storage locker at the end of the kitchen. It's a freestanding job, so that's useful because you can use it outside as well as in. And today the sun's come out, it's warming up, so I might be tempted to have my lunch outside. But if I have my lunch inside, well, the table's a good size. There'd be room just about, I think, for 4 of us around this table. And this is when you discover that these settees with their knee rolls, they're just a tad high, and I'm about 5'10", so I'm not a shorty. If you're short in the leg, you might find these a bit uncomfortable. Ironically, they'd be better without the knee rolls, and that would also ease bed making because you wouldn't need to turn the cushions over to make the bed. But it's a small point. Try it if you're not sure, and make sure that you would be comfortable sitting here. Certainly it's better for sprawling than for sitting upright. Of course, before we can think about dining, we need to think about cooking. And here's where the Majestic probably scores over a lot of the continental competition. And I have to say that in the island bed market, there's probably a lot more competition from Europe to consider than there is from the UK. Now, for a start, you get this Thetford cooker with 3 gas rings, a mains hot plate, and separate grill and oven. Then there's a fitted microwave above, and a reasonable amount of worktop space as well. You've got this flap at the end of the kitchen, conveniently 2 main sockets there, well placed for using your toaster or kettle or something. Just watch that nobody knocks them as they come through the habitation door. Of course, you've got your sink, and under the glass lid you store your removable draining board. That just slots in on the end there. That's quite a neat idea, better probably than having a built-in draining board, because there isn't really room for it, and it does give you that bit of worktop space. And just slots in when you've finished with it. Storage, well, you've got 3 reasonable sized drawers. They don't soft close. As I say, this is basically an entry-level motorhome, and unfortunately there's no cutlery and utensil holder in the top one, which is slightly disappointing, but otherwise decent amount of storage. You've got plate and cup rack in that cupboard. Down here there's a bit more storage under the oven, a little bit of untidy wiring in there which would worry me. I wouldn't want to catch something on it and do any damage. But the oddest thing is this recess here, where you'd expect to have a rail for your tea towel, but no rail. So first DIY job when you buy your Majestic 150, to perhaps add a couple of tea towel rails in there. What you do get is this little shelf down here with a couple of USB ports. Lighting's pretty effective. You've got these downlighters both under the cupboards and over the cupboards. So all in all, it's a good kitchen, especially when you consider that on the opposite side of the vehicle, you've got this 139 litre tall fridge freezer with automatic energy selection, so it switches automatically between 12 volt gas and 230 volt. As is typical with island bed layouts, the bed runs lengthways. You've got his and hers wardrobes on either side, top lockers above, but they're not low, so you've got plenty of room to sit up in bed and use those reading lights. It's a very spacious bedroom in this vehicle too, with lots of room around the foot of the bed, but I'll show you why in just a minute. It's also unusual and typically British perhaps compared with the imported competition, because this bedroom is on show all day. If your friends come in to join you for drinks in the evening, there's no way of hiding your bedroom. You could perhaps add a curtain across here, but from the factory there is nothing to separate the bedroom area from the rest of the living area. Also, your washroom isn't particularly en suite. It's close by, yes, but when you come out of the shower you're not coming into a private en suite bedroom as you are in some of the opposition. Now, I've actually taken my bedding off the bed for a minute to better show you how it works, because as you saw it before with this huge amount of walking space around the foot of the bed, well, that's in its daytime position. You can't sleep like that. Nice to have the option though, and then if you pull the mattress out slightly and tip that back, well, it's very comfortable now to sit up in bed. Notice too that one of the many features you get as standard on a Majestic that would normally be an optional extra on the standard Elddis product is this Hypnos mattress. Very comfortable. I found it slightly firm, but very, very comfortable. I slept really well last night. And there aren't many motorhomes that can claim a feature that's by appointment to Her Majesty the Queen, which this Hypnos mattress is. Now, when it comes to shut-eye time, of course, shut those blinds, which do let a bit of daylight in, as I said. Now, you can still get around the foot of the bed, but it's not as generous as it was before. And the mattress itself, although very comfortable, is not as generous in size as some rivals. It's 1.83 metres long. In the middle, it does curve slightly at the footnote, and 1.37 metres wide. You will find beds that are longer or wider if you need that, but this bed is adequate for a lot of people. Before we move on from the bedroom, and I'm tempted just to have a bit of shut-eye on this comfy Hypnos mattress, I ought to just cover a few more details, particularly storage. Now, on the off side you've got these useful bedside drawers, but only if you sleep this side, because on that side the gas locker is underneath the wardrobe there. But nice to have for whoever sleeps on this side of the bed. And then also on this side of the bed you've got a little vanity area with a mirror, storage cupboard top and bottom, little shelf area for makeup and so on. So you could sit on the end of the bed, but oh, the mirror's a bit low and I can only see the top of my head. Shame that, although I could comb my hair because it's getting a bit long. You'll notice too that you don't get TV brackets either in the lounge or the bedroom. TV points, main sockets, 12 volt, and the aerial socket, because of course the TV aerial back on the roof that we saw earlier, they are fitted front and rear, but if you want to fit a TV, you'll need to get your dealer to fit a bracket, whether you want it in the front lounge or in the bedroom, or both even. So consider, if you're into TV when you're away, then you need to think about the cost of the TV, whether you're going to have satellite, and where you're going to mount the TV, all that sort of thing. Anyway, storage. Mentioned storage under the bed when I showed it to you from outside, and you can get at it from inside as well. The whole bed base lifts up on gas struts, and as you can see, I've got quite a lot of junk under there. Do be careful you don't damage the water pump, because that's not protected in any way. You've got a little flap door, gives you access to your LCD and your vehicle, your habitation fuses in there. But one thing you should note, these gas struts hold the bed up like this with no bedding on. Of course, when you're away in the van, you'll have pillows and duvet on there, and then the gas struts aren't strong enough to hold it up. If you need 4 berths, the Majestic 150 has that covered as well. So, scatter cushions and armrests out of the way. Big cushions in particular need to be turned over because of those knee rolls, and you end up with a bed that, because it goes the full width van, is over 2 metres, 2.06 metres across by 1.23 metres at this end. Your head will need to go this end because it's wider, because it goes down to just 0.95, 950mm wide at the foot of the bed. Now at this point you might be thinking, what's the point of having an extra double bed at the front of the van when you've only got 2 travel seats? Well, you haven't just got 2 travel seats. You have to remove all the settee cushions, the whole caboodle, and you do end up with quite a pile of cushions on the rear bed, because there's nowhere really else to put them. But then seat bases fold away, and then like magic, these agouti travel seats. So you've got 2 perfectly usable rear travel seats. The offside one here has got a little bit more legroom, but on either side you have got this folding seat base against you, so if you're broad at the shoulder, that might be an issue. Again, just check it for size. The one aspect I haven't covered at all so far is the washroom, and it's an all-in-one affair. There's no separate shower as you'd expect if this was a Continental van. However, my fears of a shower entangled in a shower curtain were allayed. I didn't have that horrible experience of being wrapped up in shower curtain, because the curtain just pulls across and covers the loo and the cupboard behind. The basin and this shelf area all get wet, as do the walls, which I'm slightly disappointed to see are just a wallpaper type finish rather than a fully plastic lined shower cubicle. That said, I had a decent shower in here. The Eco Camel shower head is brilliant. That saves water and gives you a really good spread of shower on your body. The shower tray has a little mat over it with a Marquis logo, but there's just one shower drain, so it did take a while to try and sluice out all the soapy suds this morning. There's a roof vent above, there's decent lighting. I like this corner basin, so considering this is quite a compact space, it works quite well. And if you're not going to be showering in your van all the time, it's probably a decent compromise. So we've talked about all the living area aspects. It's probably time to go for a drive now. Before we do, let's have a look at the cab spec, because Marquis have really gone to town. The radio unit here has got DAB radio, sat nav, and the reversing camera is not through that screen but up here where you'd expect the rear view mirror to be. You can switch it off if you don't want it when you're actually driving forwards, or you can leave it on all the time. Of course, you've got all the usual bits like the leather steering wheel, cruise control and so on, but the cab air conditioning is the more sophisticated automatic system, so you just dial in the temperature you want and let it do the rest for you. Right. Now the Majestic is based on a Peugeot Boxer, which of course is the sister van to the Fiat Ducato. Unlike the Fiat, you can't get an automatic, so it's 6-speed manual gearbox only. But the engine here is a different unit to the Fiat as well. And in the Majestic, it's the top of the range 165 bhp turbo diesel. Still 2.2 litre, but a significant upgrade on the 130 bhp unit that a lot of other Peugeot-based motorhomes have. I have to say, you wonder whether that upgrade is necessary, and it does make driving easier because you've got more torque, more power, and you change gear less, so it's a more relaxing drive. Despite this being a fairly large motorhome, it's just over 7.3 metres, it handles well, it feels nice and stable on the road. There are some rattles, a few, not as bad as some, but some rattles mainly from the kitchen area, I think. But it's the Spec that will win you over. Not only do you get that big engine, but of course the automatic air conditioning that I mentioned, the leather steering wheel, the DAB radio, got extra light coming in from the overcab sunroof as well, so it feels spacious. This 2.2 litre engine, as I say, it does the job really well in this van, which at 3.5 tonnes gross weight is drivable by anybody on a normal car licence. And I should mention too that it's got over half a tonne of payload, even though Marquis have certainly specced it up with all the toys. So yeah, just an easy vehicle to drive, quite relaxing. Oh, and I should mention too that it's a tad narrower than a lot of its competitors too. Body width is 2.2 metres, so a little bit slimmer on the road than a lot of the competition. So, Marquis Majestic 150. It's an obvious addition to the range with the island bed, and it does feel spacious with that open plan aspect to the rear of the vehicle. The bedroom's not separated off. Now, you might love that or you might hate it. That is down to personal choice. You might not want to live without a separate shower, but then look at the spec that you get for $55,995. It even includes an alarm, a tracking system, that'll please your insurance company, and a solar panel on the roof. About the only thing you're going to need to add is a telly. Other than that, well, I don't like that fiddly wastewater drain, and I would like another outlet in the shower tray, as well as some stronger gas struts for lifting up that rear bed. But these are details. If you like the layout, and you like the spec, and you certainly like the price, then take a look at this latest addition to Marquis's Majestic range.